A small group of scientists are seen wandering in the Arctic region while trying to find a missing aircraft that is presumably frozen there. Once they find the aircraft, they cut through it, and inside they find a shield encased in ice. The story then shifts back to Tønsberg, Norway in 1942. In an ancient Viking ruin, two caretakers were seen talking when suddenly the front door blast opens and many Nazis makes their way inside. A man named Johann Schmidt enters the room. He is a high-ranking Nazi and leader of an enormous terrorist organization called Hydra. He is looking for a cube known as the Tesseract, which is presumed to be a source of infinite energy. He finds it in the hands of the corpse, but instantly figures out that it is a fake one. After taking a look around, he presses a button and a box materializes. When he opens it, a bright ray of blue light hits his face, which means that he has found the real Tesseract and plans to do no good with it. Almost a year later, a pure-hearted yet extremely skinny man named Steve Rogers is trying to join the army in order to serve his country. However, because of how emaciated he is, they didn't let him join the army. No matter what he does, he always gets rejected. The next day, Steve's best and only friend Bucky saves Steve from an alley fight. Bucky was in the army and he knew the risks, so he always tries to convince Steve that he shouldn't join the army. In order to take Steve's mind off of the army, Bucky takes Steve on a double date at an exhibition. The exhibition displays quite innovative and futuristic inventions. A man named Howard Stark is there, and he presents his latest invention, which is a flying car. Steve sees an army recruitment poster and ditches his double date with Bucky and the girls. Bucky catches up with him and reminds Steve to stop enlisting in the army because he will get rejected again. While they are talking, a doctor named Abraham Erskine is seen listening to their conversation. Inside, during Steve's medical, a nurse comes and tells something to the doctor and he leaves. Steve assumes that he has been rejected yet again. Before he can leave, Dr. Abraham walks in. He tells Steve that he works on the Army's science projects and shows interest in Steve, who also explains how he wants to do good things for his country. Dr. Abraham lets him through the medical and Steve officially becomes a soldier, but he is still very malnourished and weak, which is why he is unable to perform well during practice with other soldiers. All the soldiers are running when they are told to retrieve a flag from a tall pole. Whoever retrieves the flag gets to sit in the car instead of running. The soldiers tried to climb it, but each one fails. Steve, however, removes the pin which was holding the pole, and it falls on the ground. He easily retrieved the flag and sits in the car. Dr. Abraham comes there and talks to their colonel named Chester Phillips. Abraham wants to choose Steve for his super soldier program, but Chester wants to go with another soldier. Colonel Chester wants to test them, so he throws a grenade between the soldiers. All of them flee, as predicted, including the soldier Chester wants for the super soldier program. But Steve, unlike the others, throws himself on the grenade to save everyone. This proves Abraham's point, as everyone now believes that Steve Rogers is the one for this super soldier program. On the other hand, we see Schmidt, who now possesses the infinite power of the Tesseract. With the help of an evil genius, Dr. Arnim Zola, Schmidt makes a machine that takes energy from the Tesseract. With this, they can fuel their planes and make weapons that will ensure their victory in war. Peggy then takes Steve to the place where Dr. Abraham is working alongside Howard Stark on the super soldier program. They injected Steve with the super soldier serum and put him inside a chamber made by Howard. The chamber shines Vita rays on Steve, and they speed up the serum's effects while making them work correctly. Once it is done, they open the chamber as the weak and bony Steve now emerges completely jacked. Before they can check on Steve, a Nazi working for Hydra causes an explosion and runs away with the last remaining serum. Before fleeing, the man shoots and ends the life of Dr. Abraham. Steve, who can run faster than a car now, catches the man, but the serum falls and breaks. He tries to question the man, but he poisons himself and says "Hail Hydra" before dying. Meanwhile, Schmidt has built several weapons that can literally obliterate a man into thin air. He kills several of Hitler's men because he wants to be the leader of the Nazi. Back in the military, Peggy tells Steve that Dr. Abraham is gone, and it will be years before they can make more of that serum. Howard tells Colonel Chester that he also doesn't know how to make the serum, meaning that Steve Rogers is the first and last super soldier. Colonel Chester meets Steve and tells him that he has made it to the news and has become a little famous when he ran on the streets and caught the Nazi man. He tells Steve what he needs to do if he truly wants to do something good for the country. We then see Steve raising money by participating in a play and given the name Captain America. He has to appeal to the public to buy war bonds so that they have enough money to buy guns and other weapons. Steve, however, doesn't enjoy doing any of it. He is then sent to do the same thing in front of a battalion who starts laughing at him. Steve wanted to be a soldier and never wanted this humiliation, so he walks away. Afterwards, Steve is seen sitting when Peggy approaches him and informs him that his best friend, Bucky, was in a battalion that was sent to attack some Hydra agents. Instead, all of them got killed and the ones who survived got captured by Hydra. Steve meets with Colonel Chester and informed him that he wants to go there to rescue Bucky, but Chester denies it, claiming that they can't lose more soldiers. But Steve decides to go alone because of Bucky. With the help of Peggy, he jumps off the plane and finds a secret Hydra facility where he sees many weapons powered by the Tesseract. He makes his way inside the facility where he frees all of the captive soldiers. He then tells them to leave while he runs inside. Schmidt watches Steve and quickly realizes that he must be sent by Abraham. He activates several explosive charges that will level the base. Steve then finds Bucky in a lab and gets shocked to see him jacked. While running outside with Bucky, they came face to face with Schmidt. He reveals that his face is nothing but a mask as he removes it and reveals a horrendous red face. Apparently, he has worked with Abraham and took the super soldier serum before it was ready. This resulted in him getting super strength but also several side effects, which included ruining his face and turning him into the Red Skull. Dr. Zola is also with Red Skull, and they both flees, while leaving Steve and Bucky in a destroying facility. However, using his superhuman powers, Steve manages to escape with Bucky. Back at the base, while the general is planning to abandon the mission, Steve brings back all of the captive soldiers and Colonel Chester is amazed by the successful mission. Later, Steve tells Peggy and Chester that he saw a map in the facility, which had other Hydra bases marked to it and that he knows exactly where to attack. He then meets Howard, who gives him a shield made out of vibranium, which is an unbreakable and extremely rare element. He takes that shield and dresses up as Captain America. He then takes his team of soldiers and raids all the Hydra bases and successfully takes all of them out. In one mission, they have to get inside a train because Dr. Zola is in there and he can give them valuable information on where Red Skull is. Captain America and the others successfully makes it inside the train where Captain America captures Dr. Zola, but other Hydra agents attack them. They manage to get rid of them, but Bucky is thrown out off the train. Captain America tries to save him, but Bucky falls down and dies. Zola, however, is captured. Colonel Chester interrogates Zola, who ultimately gives them Red Skull's location, which was located at the last known Hydra base. Steve is infuriated with the death of his best friend, so he runs into the last Hydra base with burning rage. He starts to fight all the Hydra agents who are in his way. While he fights them, Red Skull sees this as an opportunity to escape as he knows what Captain America is capable of. He loads a few of his weapons on a plane alongside the machine that has the Tesseract in it and flies away. Peggy comes there in her car and gives him a ride. When it is time to jump inside Red Skull's plane, he tells her that he will be back for their date as they had earlier decided to go. After owning Peggy a dance, Steve jumps on the plane to end all of it by killing the Hydra leader. He sees Red Skull and they start to fight each other. Red Skull doesn't want to back off and fights him with murderous intent. Eventually, Steve throws his shield at him, but he accidentally falls on the machine that had the Tesseract. The Tesseract falls out of the machine and Red Skull, in a last and desperate attempt to defeat Steve, holds it in his hand without the help of any device. The sheer and pure energy of the Tesseract is so powerful that it opens a wormhole through space. Red Skull still tries to use that power but gets sucked into the energy beam and teleports through that same wormhole-type portal. The Tesseract falls down, but it melts through the plane and falls into a wide ocean. Steve doesn't think too much about where Red Skull went, as the plane is out of control and is heading straight to New York. He quickly took control over the plane in order to take it away from New York. While flying, he talks to Peggy over the radio. He tells her that he has to crash the plane in order to save the lives of the innocent citizens. Peggy cries, telling him not to do it, and informs him of their date, but Steve has to do it and crashes the plane in the Arctic. We later sees that Howard had found the Tesseract again in the ocean and that Germany lost and World War II ended. In the present, Captain America wakes up in a hospital that is made to look like it is from his times, but he feels like everything is fake. He runs out of there and ends up in the New York Times Square, where he sees that the world has completely developed. S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury comes there and informs him that he was stuck in the ice for 70 years. Nick Fury explains that they wanted to slowly tell him the truth, which is why they set up the hospital like that. Steve also realizes that everyone he knows is now dead. In a post-credit scene, Fury comes to Steve, telling him that he has came up with a new mission for him, and that he is the first Avenger. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.